Good morning, friends. Welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS Academy. Welcome to our daily Hindu newspaper analysis. I hope everyone is fit and fine. And those who have joined us, good morning, everyone. And I hope everyone is fit and fine, right? Okay. So we're going to start the analysis for today. Today's newspaper is an interesting one, and we'll try to see the major things that have come in today's newspaper, right? Okay. Let's just quickly guys, just wait for 1 minute. I am just making sure our pad is downloaded, right? Okay. Now, I think we are ready to go, right? Okay. I think everyone could see over here the major news, that is remote EVM ready to help migrants vote outside states, Election Commission. Now, I think everyone knows that this is one of the problem that is faced by the migrants, that when they are away for work, let's say to some another state, they are not in their home constituency, then it becomes difficult for them to vote. अगर उनको वोट करना है, if they have to vote, then they would have to go to their home constituency in order to cast their vote. So as a result, somehow, if we talk about the numbers, let's say about the voter turnout, then the numbers reduces significantly. In order to make sure the maximum people are involved in this voting process, Election Commission has now come up with a new machine, that is RVM. Very, very important, RVM. Now this RVM is the remote voting machine. Let's say a worker that is working in Punjab or Haryana but belongs to, let's say, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, he would be able to vote from the, let's say, there is a polling booth located in the area where he is staying right now for the work, let's say in Punjab or Haryana, with the help of this particular machine, that is remote voting machine. But for that, he has to register himself. He has to register himself offline or online with its home constituency and has to make sure that he avails this particular provision, right? So let's try to see more into this remote voting machines. The remote voter must register online or offline within a pre-notified time before the elections, before their home constituency returning officer. He has to register offline or online with the home constituency returning officer. After successful verification, the voter will be approved for this remote voting facility. It is only after the verification that that person would be eligible for this remote voting facility. One thing, that this prototype that is being introduced, it has to make sure that the person is not voting two times. He is not voting two times. So this has to be used in a very diligent manner. Every protocol needs to make sure that there are no loopholes that could be, let's say, exploited by any person. So this is the thing, and this is a, we could say, very good thing that is coming up if we talk about the election reforms, or we could say it is a very, very good initiative that has been started by the Election Commission. So this machine allows migrant voters living outside their home constituency to vote from their current residence. So this is a very, very big initiative, right? So this was our main news that is on our front page, right? Now, let's come to the second news. RT-PCR negative report must for air travelers from 5 Asian countries. As we know that there are a lot of COVID cases that are coming from, let's say, different countries. So government, or we could, the central government has tried to increase the restrictions. So as a result, from 1st January 2023, passengers that are coming from these 5 countries, let's say China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore and Thailand, the persons who are coming over here, they shall carry a RT-PCR negative report, that is 72 hours before. So this is a very, very important step that has been taken by the government in order to make sure that the people who are traveling are RT-PCR negative. And along with it, they have to register themselves on the Air Suvidha portal. Now this is a very, very important step that has been taken by the government in order to make sure that we do not see, let's say, any wave in India. So these are the two most important news that are there on our front page, that is remote EVM machines and RT-PCR negative report must for air travelers from these 5 Asian countries, right? So this is the important thing that we guys have to stick to, right? Okay. Moving on. Now, yesterday I discussed about the pharma firm that faces inquiry over killer cough syrup. There was a firm that made a particular syrup that resulted in killing of certain children in Gambia. Now, this is a particular firm that is based in Noida that has resulted in the acute respiratory problems in the children, that is of the people of Uzbekistan. Now, this is a very, very serious concern that is developing, and we have to make sure there is a thorough inquiry and the culprits are put behind the bars. If they are increased dosage of, let's say, diethylene glycol, then we have to make sure this needs to be brought into the limelight and adequate steps are taken so that our image is not hampered worldwide, right? So this is another important news, that is pharma firm faces inquiry over killer cough syrup. And you need to know the important ingredient. What is the important ingredient? It is the diethylene glycol, right? Okay. I think everyone could see over here the next news. India's current account deficit widens in Q2 to the 9-year high of 44%. Now our current account deficit has increased. Yesterday I told you that there would be, or there has been, a hit on our exports due to global slowdown. So as a result, our current account deficit is at a 9-year high. If we compare it in the Q2, that is at 44%. We will discuss more it in the economics page. So these are our important headlines that we shall guys be knowing about it, right? Okay. Moving to the next part, let's try to come to the editorials, right? Okay. Now this is our first editorial, that is credit challenges. One thing this particular article is trying to articulate, that is, try to listen very carefully, it is very, very important. You have to know what is the situation of the, let's say, country's banking system right now in the country. So, according to RBI's report on trend and progress of banking in India. Now, this become very, very important, that this report has been released by the RBI. According to this report, credit growth in our country has increased, or credit growth of our banking system has increased this thing is being articulated by this particular editorial. Now, one of the reasons for this increase in the credit growth has been the way with which non-performing assets have been handled. Very, very important. The way with which non-performing assets have been handled, like the IBC code, it has worked brilliantly. Write-off loans or writing off the loans by the banks, this is another important step that has been taken by the banks. And thirdly, quality reviews that have taken place has resulted in our NPAs reaching a very, very low levels what they were as compared to, let's say, 5-6 years ago. So we have overall reduced our NPAs, our credit growth has increased. But the thing this article wants to say is credit growth तो increase हो गई है, but deposit growth नहीं increase हुई है. It has not resulted in the increase of deposit growth. Now this is a little bit of concern, because due to the situation that is prevalent in the worldwide, like the global slowdown, like the inflation, price fluctuations, Russia-Ukraine war, the people are not, or we could say they are reluctant to put their money into the banking system. So this is the one thing that is being highlighted by this particular editorial, that credit growth has increased, but we could say if डिपॉजिट ग्रोथ की बात करें तो डिपॉजिट ग्रोथ उस रेट पे इंक्रीज नहीं हुआ है. नाउ दिस इज अ थिंग दैट वी गाइज नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. The next important thing that this article wants to say is very, very important. The article wants to say that अगर credit growth हो रही है, then this credit growth must be used by the private companies in order to increase their private expenditure. Very, very important. This could be used by the private expenditure. And one thing it wants to say कि government expenditure shall not increase. Let's say this is the bank, it has to lend more to this private sector as compared to the government sector. If entire chunk of the credit is taken by the government rather than the private sector, then there is very room, or we could say there is very little room that is left for the private companies to invest. That could result, if we say about the growth and the development process. So the government has to make sure in this current time, government expenditure doesn't need to be, let's say, overmatch the private expenditure. It has to be the private expenditure that shall be increasing over the period of time if we have to make sure that we are on the right path to growth and development. And the most important thing is this article saying that we have made sure that our credit growth has increased by asset quality reviews, mandates for stressed assets recognition, write-offs by commercial banks, as well as loan recoveries made under the insolvency and the bankruptcy code, right? So you could be asked any question in mains related to how our banking system has performed, or what are the various things that have been taken by the banks that has resulted in the lower NPAs. Then you have to write these major points, that it is asset quality reviews, mandates for the stressed loans, recoveries made under IBC, and all this stuff you have to write in the answer. So this was one of the most important editorial, that is credit challenges. And it says credit flow and all round capital spending must stay supportive, right? So this is the important editorial that we guys need to cater to, right? Okay. This was not that much important editorial if we talk about changing features of Muslim representation. Then we have friendly neighbors. This is basically talking about the politics that is taking place in Maldives, and India has to make sure that India has its presence in Maldives. So nothing that much important related to this particular editorial. Now, the important editorial that we have to discuss is leveraging voice technology to combat cyber fraud. I think everyone knows the condition of our online banking system, our digital transactions in India, right? Everyone has now got the smartphone, most of the people, and they try to do their services, banking services, digital transactions, all in the online mode. For these things that we are using, either we are using face biometrics or we are setting up passwords, right? But the amount of cyber fraud that is happening, it is happening in a very, very large numbers. It is happening in a very, very large numbers. One of the reports says the major reason for these cyber frauds that are happening, let's say on our online transaction, is due to the cyber fraudsters exploiting the weak passwords that are being set up by the people or the entities. The main reason are the weak passwords. So there is a technology, but there are certain loopholes in this technology, right? The password technology or the biometrics technology. So they have come up with that new technology that has a success rate of, let's say, 90 to 99%. And that technology that they are exploring over here is the voice technology. Recently, HSBC Bank used this particular technology, that is the voice technology, and it resulted in less, or we could say it resulted in reduction of around 50% of cyber fraud cases when they have adopted this voice technology. Now, this voice technology is very, very important because voice of the person cannot be tampered with, right? Voice of the person cannot be tampered with generally, right? So this is a very, very important technology that has come up and it needs to be catered to. It has a lot of applications. It could be used in forensics, It could be used to identify criminals. Right. So there are a lot of positives that are associated with this particular technology that we are talking about, voice technology. So in the future, we have to make sure that, let's say we are facing a lot of cyber frauds, we have to shift to this voice technology because it has, or it is a better technology, let's say, than the biometrics technology, or if we can talk about the weak password or the password technology. So this voice technology has lot of applications and this needs to be explored further if we have to save ourselves from the cyber frauds. अगर हमें साइबर फ्रॉड से बचना है तो हमें वॉइस टेक्नोलॉजी को ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या करना होगा, अडॉप्ट करना होगा. One way to reduce loss is by adopting voice technology which encompass voice metrics or voice speech recognition technology. Now this is the thing that this particular article wants us to focus upon, that is leveraging voice technology to combat cyber fraud. I hope this point is clear to everyone and everyone is with me on this particular topic, right? Okay, चलिए, ये हमारा इंपॉर्टेंट एडिटोरियल था. ठीक है, अगला ओपिनियन पेज है, शुड इंडिया रिव्यू इट्स पोजीशन ऑन द तालिबान, राइट? सो वी नो देयर इज अ position going in the Taliban, that is the situation that there has been the ban on women, there is a lot of orthodoxy that is now being associated with the Taliban as well, and how India shall handle with Taliban, right? So there are a lot of confusion that is right now going on. What shall be our policy if we have to deal with the Taliban, because we are not providing visas to the students who can study over here. So as a result, women is suffering there as well in Taliban and the students are suffering in India as well. What shall be the India's policy if we have to engage with the Taliban? This is a particular opinion page. We need not dwell that much on this particular opinion page, right? Okay, moving to the next part. Now again, this issue is in news. I think everyone is aware of this issue, that is the Karnataka Maharashtra border road. I would try to sum up this very quickly. See, the area of the debate is Belgavi area. That was a part of Bombay Presidency before States Reorganization Act 1956. After State Reorganization Act, this Belgavi area from the Bombay Presidency went to the Mysore region, that is the Karnataka region. That is the Karnataka region. So there was a lot of dispute after the State Reorganization Act 1956, which state shall have this area, that is the Belgavi area. Maharashtra people says that a lot of people or the Marathi speaking people are in this Belgavi area, whereas the statement of the Karnataka is no, the population of Maratha and the local people is almost at par. There is no such thing that there is majority of the Maratha population or the Maratha speaking population in this Belgavi area. As a result, Government of India set up Mahajan Commission. Mahajan Commission in 1966 in order to find out what shall be the conclusion of this particular dispute. As a result, this commission said that this Belgavi area majority, it shall be given to Karnataka. Now this is the stance that right now Karnataka government is using, that we will stick to where? We will stick to the recommendations of Mahajan Commission. So this is a particular dispute that has been going on. As a result, center ने intervene किया है and center has formed a 6-member body, 3 from Maharashtra, 3 from Karnataka, to address this particular boundary issue that is there between Maharashtra and Karnataka, right? The area of the dispute is the Belgavi area that was earlier part of Bombay Presidency. After States Reorganization Act and Mahajan Commission, the stake and the claim of Karnataka government or the Karnataka state has increased, that this particular area, that is the Belgavi area, belongs to whom? It belongs to Karnataka. And we have to see what could be the options or what would be the recommendations of this 6-member body, and if this dispute is not resolved, whether it would go to Supreme Court or it could go to Interstate Council, right? So this is the important news that you guys have to cater to. कोमल, जैसे हम देख सकते हैं, we have seen that there have been lot of hacking that is being done, right? Yes. Let's say this is basically voice technology is basically related to, let's say this is particularly related to our digital transactions or our banking frauds, right? So this is where we are saying we have to implement voice technology. In the hacking system that we are asking about, it could be introduced through any malware. So that cannot be protected by, let's say, voice technology itself, right, Komal? Okay. Moving on to the next part. What is the Videocon Chanda Kochar case all about? See, that is not much important from our point of view, paper point of view, but you have to know that here is the situation of conflict of interest that was being the, let's say, the MD and the CEO, that was our Chanda Kochar. So this is basically the loans that she diverted to Videocon group. Now this is the case that has been highlighted upon, and there is a serious problem of we could say conflict of interest. Nothing more upon this, and we need not to discuss much regarding this particular topic. Okay, moving to the next part. Okay, a 2022 year of trial and error for superhero. We need not to discuss upon this thing, right? Okay. Okay, now this is very important. This thing is very important. Need patriotic citizens in border villages for national security. I think everyone knows that borders guarding forces we have, like BSF, ITBP, right? So people are staying alongside the border as well, right? So there are border communities as well. So the major thing this particular article or the news article wants to say, that it is not only the duty of the border guarding force, but it is the duty of the people who are residing near the borders, that they need to be patriotic enough so that if they have to save the borders. Now this is a very, very big statement. Border communities, if we want them to have this patriotic feeling, they need to be developed, they need to be given the resources so that they are able to live the life along the border in a very sustainable manner. So as a result, this year a program was announced for the people around the border areas that shall be implemented by the border guarding force, that is Vibrant Village program. This was announced in this year budget by our finance minister, that is Vibrant Village program. Now this program shall be run by the border guarding forces in order to make sure that we have tourism along this border, so that these communities could become self-reliant and vibrant. Now this is the important thing that this particular news article wants to say, that they have to make sure that they implement this scheme. It could be implemented in the upcoming time. There is the provision for how much expenditure shall be given to this particular scheme. So a lot of things are going on related to this. As soon as the limit is decided, it would be implemented in the upcoming future. So this is the very, very important thing, that we need patriotic citizens in border villages for national security. It is not the responsibility of the border guarding forces. It is the responsibility of the people living alongside the border, that if they have any information, they shall pass on it to the border guarding forces. And this is very, very important to implement this particular scheme, that is Vibrant Village program. Okay guys, so this was the important thing that I wanted to discuss upon, right? Okay. Now, I think yesterday we discussed that Allahabad High Court has said that the UP government cannot count the OBC heads and give them reservation in the local body polls. It was totally denied by the Allahabad High Court. So as a result, this UP government has moved to the Supreme Court so that they could provide reservation to OBCs in local body polls. But Supreme Court in its earlier judgments have already said this particular thing. What? They have said the reservation that is given under Article 15(4) and 16(4) to OBCs is related to education, higher education and public employment. There is no such thing that is given for the OBCs to be represented in the local body polls. If we talk about the constitutional provisions related to panchayat and municipalities as well, there is a lot of difference. Along with it, there have been certain judgments that say that if they have to give the reservation to OBCs in local body polls, they have to pass the triple test formula. Now, what is this triple test formula? Yesterday I discussed that there shall be a setting up of a commission that who on a very empirical evidence find out that if there are any OBC communities that have not been given the political representation, agar unko nahi mili hai, if they have not been able to find it, then they have to make sure, agar wo provide kar rahe hain reservation, that they are providing the reservation, that the total reservation, let's say for SCs, STs and OBCs shall not exceed 50%. So lot of things that are going on for the UP government, it has to be see what happens in Supreme Court related to the provision that has been given by the UP government that they would try to give reservation to OBCs in the local body polls. So this is an important development that is taking place around this particular news, right? Okay. Moving to the next part, this is a news page, nothing important from our point of view. Now, this is an important, we could say, study that has been conducted by Satark Nagrik Sangathan. Very important. This study has been conducted by Satark Nagrik Sangathan. This is related to the applications that are filed for RTI and how much it has been responded. Which state is best among giving information related to RTI? Let's talk about the worst states. Worst states according to this, let's say, experiment that has been conducted by Satark Nagrik Sangathan is Tamil Nadu with the success rate of only 14%, followed by Maharashtra 23, Chhattisgarh 48, Karnataka 59, Bihar 67, Madhya Pradesh 68, Rajasthan 68 and West Bengal 73. So as a result, somehow we can see that there is still a lot of hesitancy on the part of the government to provide the details related to right to information. And this thing has been highlighted by this particular NGO, that is Satark Nagrik Sangathan, right? I think this point shall be clear to everyone. Okay. I hope this point is clear to everyone. Okay. Sir, when you are going to launch PCS mains, you will get to know in the coming future, right? So आपको पता चल जाएगा. Okay. No, after Mahajan Commission, there was no any such commission related to Maharashtra Karnataka dispute, right? Okay. Moving to the next part, we have nothing much more here. Moving to the world page, there is a equation going on between Russia and Ukraine, right? Netanyahu has begun, let's say, new prime minister. Ukrainian missile lands in Belarus. Belarus is the ally of Russia. And if this Ukrainian missile lands in Belarus, then this could join war on the Russian side. Now, this thing is very, very important to understand that where is this Belarus located? I would try to give you one trivia. Belarus is the country that provides fertilizers to India. और सबसे ज़्यादा फर्टिलाइजर का एक्सपोर्टर अगर कोई है तो वो बेलारूस है. It is the largest exporter of fertilizer, mainly the potash fertilizers. Very, very important to understand, right? Okay. Moving to the next part. Nothing that much important here. Okay. Then we have our economics page, right? This thing we already discussed, that the current account deficit has widened in the quarter 2 to a 9-year high of 44%. That means the global demand that has now come up or come down, it has resulted in the fewer exports, more imports. As a result, our current account deficit is increasing. Very, very important to understand. Our current account deficit is increasing, right? Okay. The next news important is first consignment under Indo-Australia Pact flagged off. Very, very important to understand. This consignment would be of gem and jewelries. Very, very important. I think everyone knows that India and Australia have signed a preferential trade agreement by the name of ECTA, that is Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement. These are the important things that you guys need to know that are very, very important from the prelims point of view, right? Can anyone tell me the capital of Belarus that we have just discussed, where Ukrainian missile has landed in Belarus, that is a strong ally of Russia? Does anyone know the capital of Belarus? Write it in the comment box as soon as possible. Okay, very good, Komalman. It is Minsk. It is Minsk, right? So guys, this is it for today's session. I hope you enjoyed the session and you were able to gather a lot of information from this particular session, and happy the way you are responding, the way you are interacting and trying to clear your doubts, right? So one announcement, the new year is coming, so we would be having off for 2 days, that is Saturday and Sunday, that is 31st and 1st, right? So we would be seeing each other again on Tuesday with a next on the new year, and we will try to let's say start our session from the next year onwards, that is on the 2nd of January. 31st and the 1st will be officially off, and I wish you a happy new year. Stay safe, stay healthy and keep reading the Hindu newspaper, right? I hope this point is clear to everyone. ओके, फेडरल एडिफाइस के मतलब है कि फेडरल प्रोविजंस के अगेंस्ट हो सकता है जब हम बात कर रहे थे, राइट? ओके, आई होप this is it for today's part. We will see each other now in 2023, that is on 2nd January. Saturday and Sunday would be off. We would see each other on Monday, right? So thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.